Waste. We all have it. Climate change is inevitable at the current rate that our society is going at. It is a very valuable asset to know how you, as an individual, contribute to our environmental decay. Learning my carbon footprint gave me this insight. My carbon footprint is about 8 carbon dioxide equivalent per year, while the average American's carbon footprint is about 16 carbon dioxide equivalent per year. So mine's about half of the average American's. I've implemented several environmental practices in my life already. I use dryer balls instead of dryer sheets. I use natural light during the day instead of the overhead lights. I thrift, and I always shop ethically if I need to buy new clothes. I don't support fast fashion, and I like to buy my produce from local vendors and support local farmers. I always use reusable bags when I shop, and I've had the same reusable water bottle for 4 or 5 years. I'm a big advocate of quality over quantity. Today, we have an extreme problem with overconsumption and waste. Your average American produces about 2.8 kilograms of trash every day, out of which 0.68 kilos will be recycled. That's reported by the Environmental Protection Agency. That's a lot of trash. So I pose myself the question, how much waste do I produce over a 2-week period? To answer this question, I tracked my waste in 3 categories. Recycling, so anything paper, plastic, aluminum, or glass. Compost, so anything organic waste like food scraps, veggies, eggshells, and trash, which is going to be anything that doesn't fit into those other 2 categories. I used a food scale that I have in my kitchen to weigh these in grams. I then marked the data down in an Excel spreadsheet. The chart on the left shows the daily collected waste, and the chart on the right shows how it built up over the 14 days. This dot chart shows how the waste collected is plotted against each other. You can see there are some outliers like trash days where I had to throw away lots of dishes and maybe a lithium battery, some unavoidable trash. And you can see how I recycled a lot more than I composted. This line chart shows how my recycling, compost, and trash waste built up over the 14 days. On the 9th, I was sick and I had lots of tissues, so I had to throw those away, and you can see that small uptick in the line graph, which I find very interesting. There's also an uptick on the 11th for compost when I made some eggs. At the end of the 14 days, I produced 170 grams of compost, 237 grams of recycling, 133 grams of trash for a total of 540 grams. That's 0.54 kilograms, about 1/5 of the waste that an average American produces a day. It became clear to me during this that there's a lot of control over the environmental policies that is out of our individual hands. Like how glass isn't recycled locally anymore. When I go to the beach in Florida, I bring it with me. There are also numbers on the bottom of plastics indicating their recyclability. There aren't any laws currently requiring anyone to recycle, and lots of people don't even feel that it's necessary, so they don't. But you can't really blame the consumer. Companies are using harmful materials, and materials aren't being properly regulated. We're overproducing clothing and toys and electronics. The people who are responsible for regulating this aren't. The average consumer is excited by affordable fashion, strawberries in January, or a new shopping center and apartment complex. They're not thinking about the fossil fuels used to make the polyester fabrics when they place that $60 Shein order. They're excited about the on-trend affordable clothes that they can finally afford. They're not thinking about the fact that strawberries are a summer fruit. They're excited for that sweet taste. They're not thinking about the forest that was chopped down or the marsh that was filled with concrete. They're happy that they finally have a grocery store nearby and that the local housing crisis is finally improving. The problem is the policy that allows these things to happen and the people who make these policies. As consumers, the best thing we can do is be conscious of how we affect our planet. Our little changes can make really big differences.